Hello, I'm Matt and welcome to Badger Workshop. This saw stopped working a couple of weeks ago, and while I wait for parts I thought it might be interesting to try and make my own track saw. I have some 9mm ply that I'm going to use to make the track. Now I can't make the cut perfectly as I don't have a track saw, so I'm just going to roughly cut it to size and then I can finish the cuts on the table saw. I can use my festool tracks turned around the other way to use as a guide. This method works okay, but with a track saw, the edge of the track is where the cut's made, as with this, you've got to take into account that the blade is several centimetres off the track. I'm going to run the factory edge against the fence and cut 3 pieces. The first piece needs to be wider than the base of the saw, plus the overhang for the motor, and then a few centimetres more so I can get some clamps onto it. And then I just need a couple of thinner strips. Now I can get these all glued together. I'm just going to use some PVA wood glue. This first strip is going to be the sacrificial one that's going to be trimmed off when we run the saw along it. This little Stanley stapler can take up to 12mm brads, and they're going to be perfect just for holding this 9mm ply together until the glue dries. I have some aluminium bar that I'm going to attach to the saw later on. So this needs to go in position, and then the next piece of wood needs to be butted up to that to actually make the track for the track saw. I measure out the bar and I'm going to make it a bit longer than the base of the saw so it overhangs on both ends, and then I can get it cut down to length on the miter saw. I want to bolt it to the base, so I mark out a couple of positions that can be suitable to get some bolts through. I get the holes drilled out on the drill press, and then I can come back with a countersink bit and countersink the holes. I'm going to need to drill some holes through this bar into the base, but it needs to be precisely done, so to help hold everything in place, I mix up a small amount of epoxy and get the bar glued onto the base. It's really important that this bar is parallel with the blade, so I use a square as reference to butt it up to. Then I can get it clamped up and leave it to dry. When the glue's dried, I can drill through the holes in the bar and through the steel base. Then some machine screws can go through the hole. a washer and a nut on the other side and get them tightened down. Before I make the first cut on the track, I swap out to a finer tooth blade, as I've been mainly cutting sheet goods. So this thinner bit of track is perfect for getting some clamps on, and they won't be in the way of the motor. Now I can make the maiden cut, which is trimming the track to size, which means the blade would be nice and flush with the side of the track. Now I have this reference face, I can trim up the ends of the track, and I'm also going to cut it down into two pieces, one longer piece and one shorter bit. I might have found one of my brad nails. I should have thought about that before I did this. I want this saw to still be useful doing a bit of cross cutting, but now I've got that bar attached to the bottom. So I'm going to make this shorter bit of track and then attach another piece of wood to it to make a square. Now let's see if it works. I've marked out where I want to make the cut, so I can now just line the track up with the pencil marks and get a clamp on either end. The bar slides into the track and then I can make the cut. For smaller pieces, like cutting down a bit of stud work, I can use this bit of track. The fence just hooks over the wood and you get a perfectly square cut. So that's them all done. Not quite as good as a festool, but we'll get the job done and a lot cheaper. Thanks for watching, thanks to my Patreons, and please subscribe for more videos.